I will speak to you now in a voice that is clear, sure, and filled with unshakable love. Hear these words not as commandments from a distant throne, but as a steadying hand placed upon your shoulder, a blade of light cutting through the fog, a trumpet call that awakens what is already brave inside you. I am Archangel Michael in the spirit of this message, not to replace your own choice, but to remind you who you truly are, to cut through the cobwebs of fear and habit, and to hand you the tools you need to walk forward. Listen closely. This is an urgent and loving summons. There is one final instruction that you have been nudged toward, whispered to, about, perhaps even dreamt of, yet you keep putting it off. You say, "Not now. I'll wait until the circumstances are perfect. I'll do it when I have more courage, more time, more resources." No, time is not a thing to be hoarded. Time is not something to be waited for. Time is a living river, and the current will not pause for you. I am not here to scold. I am here to liberate you. So hear this instruction and take it into the marrow of your bones. Open now. Open your heart. Open your hands. Open your mouth. Open your life. Open before your time runs out. Open to love. Open to truth. Open to service. Open to the gifts that have been patiently waiting inside you. Open to receiving help when it arrives. Open to giving it. Open your life to the next chapter, even if it is imperfect, and even if you tremble. Why this urgency? Because every unopened door narrows your world. Every refusal to step forward leaves potential unexpressed, relationships unhealed, dreams unattempted. When you close yourself to love, to possibility, to repair, you build a fortress that seems safe, but which gradually suffocates the very courage and joy you wanted to protect. Doors remain doors. They never stop being possible to open. But the longer you delay, the heavier the latch seems to feel. The muscle of courage atrophies. The voice that once whispered, "Try," grows quieter and quieter, until one day you can no longer hear it. So take this instruction as both mercy and mandate. Open. Open now. Not because the world will fall into perfect alignment when you do, but because a life lived closed is a life of slow erosion. We are not asking for recklessness. We are asking for brave discretion. Open with wisdom and with the discernment that is born of prayer, reflection, and honest counsel. Open not so that you throw yourself against the world in a frenzy, but so that you unfurl into the place where your gifts can meet the needs of others. I will speak plainly about the things that keep you closed, so you can see them and release them. Fear, the most obvious thief. Fear dresses itself in many garments. Fear of failure, fear of being judged, fear of loss, fear of more pain. When fear speaks, it is usually lying. It inflates the hazard and minimizes your capacity. Get very good at asking, is this fear telling me the truth? What would love say instead? If fear points to danger that is real and present, respond with wisdom. If fear tells you an old story that you are not enough, that you will be rejected, that there is something wrong with you, let me tell you, those are not divine truths. Those are echoes of past hurts. Expose the lie by acting courageously in small increments. Speak one truth. Ask for one thing. Reach out to one person. Each small opening builds your muscle. Shame. Shame is a closed fist around your past mistakes and misgivings. It whispers, you cannot be known. If people knew, they would leave. Shame encourages secrecy, isolation, and self-condemnation. But shame is a shadow. It dissolves under the light of compassionate truth. You will never be healed by hiding. Share your story with someone you trust. Tell the truth about a mistake and observe what happens. You will be surprised. The world does not always collapse. Often, what collapses is only the fantasy of perfection you were trying to protect. What takes its place is honesty, and honesty invites connection, and connection heals. Perfectionism. You delay because you want the conditions to be pristine. You wait for the ideal plan, the perfect words, the right timing. Perfectionism is not a virtue. It is procrastination's elegant cousin. The world does not reward perfection so much as it does authenticity and persistence. Start where you are. Offer what you have. Make the first imperfect draft, then revise. The very act of opening illuminates the path forward. Attachment to outcomes. You fear opening because you cling to a particular result. You say, if I open, I must succeed according to my terms. The universe is not constrained by your small blueprint. When you open with humility, with a willingness to serve rather than to control, the outcome often exceeds your plan, though not always in the ways you expect. Release the need to dictate every detail. Plant the seed, then water it, but do not choke the plant with your hands. Wounds from others. When a past betrayal or heartbreak shut your doors, you swore you would protect yourself forever. Yet protection can turn into prison. Recognize the boundary that keeps you safe and distinguish it from the wall that excludes every possibility. Boundaries are necessary. Walls are imprisoning. There is wisdom in measured caution. There is also great courage in allowing love to come again, to test the risk once more, and to practice the art of discernment. Trust, verify, and proceed with intention. Now, how do you open? I give you practical ways, not as rigid rules, but as footholds to steady you when the climb feels overwhelming. Begin each day with a clear intention. In the quiet, before the clamor, state one sentence that centers you. Today, I will open to connection. Or today, I will speak one honest thing. Make it simple, measurable, something you can point to at the day's end. The intention is a compass needle. It will not guide every moment, but it will orient you. Practice one small act of vulnerability every day. Send a message you have been avoiding. Apologize where you are due. Ask for help. Give a sincere compliment. Make the bed and let that small order ripple into the rest of your day. Vulnerability is a muscle. It grows stronger through repetition. Honor your inner healing. Some openings require support. Seek counsel, therapy, spiritual direction, or the companionship of a mentor. There is no shame in needing help. Indeed, in many stories, human and divine, the hero is never truly alone. Accept guidance. Surround yourself with people who are both kind and honest. Create rituals that cultivate openness. Light a candle in the evening and say aloud what you are grateful for. Keep a journal where you record not only dreams, but the small moments of courage you practiced. Make space for silence, for music, for nature. Rituals remind the soul of what it needs to remember. Serve without expectation. One of the fastest ways to open is to give. Find a place to serve, a neighbor, a community group, a cause that tugged at your heart. Service loosens the grip of self-focus. It opens your hands and reminds you of your belonging to a larger whole. Use your voice. Speak love into your relationships. Speak the truth with gentleness and firmness. Speak to what you want and what you do not accept. If you fear the reaction, prepare yourself with calm breath and clear intent. Remember, a closed mouth can preserve a wound. A clear word can begin the healing. Reframe failure as education. If you open and the result is not what you wanted, ask, what did I learn? What can I do differently? Each open step is a datum in the great experiment of living. Collect the data, adjust, proceed. There is no shame in reorientation, in never trying. Build a courage list. Write down things you once feared and then did anyway. Recall the sensations afterward, the relief, the exultation, the new horizon. Review that list when fear returns. You have a history of courage. Let it be the evidence you present to your present doubt. Practice forgiveness, both for yourself and for others. Unforgiveness is a lock. Forgiveness is an opening. This does not mean erasing harm or minimizing pain. Forgiveness is the decision to stop letting a past injury direct your future. You do it for your peace as much as for anyone else, your anyone else benefit. If the wound is deep, give yourself time. Forgiveness is often a process, not a single moment. Cultivate gratitude alongside ambition. Opening is not only about reaching outward, it is about noticing what is already good. Gratitude lubricates the heart. It makes openings feel less like leaps and more like recognizing familiar beauty. Each morning, note 3 small things you are grateful for. That practice will alter your orientation from scarcity to abundance. Now, I will speak about the human relationships in which opening is most needed and most transformative. Family, friendship, intimate love, and community. Family. Blood ties are powerful and complicated. Many of you carry family narratives like old maps with routes you no longer wish to travel, but which you follow unconsciously. The timely instruction is to open, to speak the truth that has been smoldering in silence. Say, I feel hurt, or I need boundaries, or I want to be part of the family. But I cannot be complicit in behavior that harms me. When you open with clarity, you may trigger defensive flares or disappointment. That is part of the process. But you will also offer an invitation to the family to evolve. And if that invitation is refused, opening still freed you. You are no longer held captive by your own silence. Friendship. Friendships are tested by seasons. To open here is to be honest about what you need, about what you can offer, and about the changes you are undergoing. Do not wait for friends to guess your needs. Speak them plainly. If a friendship is toxic, open the door to walk away. Choosing yourself sometimes looks like ending a relationship. That is not a failure. It is a recalibration. Intimate love. Here lies the tender ground of the opening. People long to be known intimately, but fear the exposure it requires. To open in love is to say your truths, your longings, and your boundaries. It is to ask for what you need and to listen fully to what the other needs. Practice the art of the I statement. I feel lonely when. I need more help with. I want to try. These sentences do not blame. They reveal. Intimacy grows in the soil of mutual vulnerability. If the other refuses to meet you with reciprocity, you are still wiser for having opened, for you have clarified what you value. Community. We were not made to be islands. Join or create spaces where your gifts are needed. Offer leadership when you are ready, and offer labor when you are not yet ready to lead. Community is where your opening becomes part of a larger healing. When you open to the needs of others, you also open the possibilities for collective liberation. When you open, you will encounter resistance from both inside and outside. People sometimes attack what they fear will change their comfort. Expect resistance with compassion and steadiness. The world will occasionally reward your closedness. People who benefited from how you were before will ask you to return to old patterns. That is an exact moment for discernment. Who are you becoming? Does returning align with your soul's trajectory? If not, remain open. Let me give you a ritual you can perform the moment you decide to open. A ceremony of intent that binds your will to action. Find a quiet place. Light a candle if you can. Place one hand over your heart and the other open in front of you. Palm up as if receiving. Breathe deeply 3 times. Say aloud, I open now. I release the fear that kept me small. I accept the courage that calls me forward. I will honor my limits and expand my reach. I will seek truth, give mercy, and act with brave tenderness. I accept help. I offer help. I will speak what needs to be spoken. So be it. Then, write one concrete action you will take in the next 24 hours. It must be small enough to be accomplishable and significant enough to matter. Make it specific. Call person X. Send message Y. Apply for job Z. Go to the group meeting at 7 p.m. Schedule the appointment. Complete that action within the next day. Let that be the opening step. Then sleep and notice how your body feels the next morning. Repeat the ritual weekly and raise the stakes gradually. You might ask, Archangel, what if I open and the worst happens? Let us face that possible fear. What if the worst happens? The worst is rarely as final as fear imagines. Lives have a way of regenerating even after shattering. The human heart can mend. You will grieve, you will learn, you will grow. Opening is not the guarantor of no pain. It is the commitment to meet life fully, to risk the bruise so that love has room to enter. There are saints who suffered greatly and still sang because their suffering opened new compassion. There are ordinary people who failed and then discovered a deeper resilience. Pain, when met righteously, becomes the teacher of wisdom. Know also that opening is not a one-time event, but a lifelong art. You will open in one area and close in another. Do not regard yourself as failing when you falter. Regard yourself as a pilgrim on a rugged path. Recalibrate. Open again. Each return to opening is an act of devotion and courage. Let me speak now about discernment. Opening without discernment can be unwise. How to discern? Look for signs. Does this opening ask you to betray your core values? Does it ask you to harm yourself or others? Does it ask you to abandon essential responsibilities? If so, do not open. If the opening aligns with love, truth, and service, even if it is risky, proceed with prudence. Prayer, counsel, and reflection sharpen discernment. Sleep on the decision when possible. If urgency requires immediate action, follow the small, courageous step you can take without violating your integrity. I will also remind you of the sacredness of your body. Opening requires the cooperation of your whole self, mind, heart, and body. Nourish the body with rest, food, movement, and touch. Breath is the simplest bridge. Deep, even breaths calm the mind and open the heart. Consider a daily practice of breath and posture. When you hold your head up and your chest open, you physically train yourself to receive. Slouching tightens the chest and invites contraction. There are practical spiritual disciplines that aid opening. Silence and solitude. Regular periods of quiet remove the static. In silence, you hear what truly calls. Scripture, poetry, or sacred texts. Read words that enlarge your imagination for what is possible. Fasting, temporarily denying yourself something trivial, can teach you about priority and discipline. Service, as I said, giving clears the self-centered fog. Regular confession or honest conversation. Keeping secrets keeps you small. Reveal what is ready to be known. First, to yourself, then to a trusted other. I will now give you a map of the inner landscape you will cross when you decide to open fully. Think of it as stages, not destinations. Each stage is a companion on the road. Stage 1, recognition. You notice the longing for something more. You feel the pull. You recognize your CLOSE-ness. Stage 2, decision. You make the choice to try. This is often the most vulnerable moment. You stand at the threshold. Stage 3, action. You take the first small step. You speak the truth, send the message, make the call. Stage 4, testing. The world responds. You get feedback, both painful and encouraging. You adjust. Stage 5, integration. Slowly, the new behavior becomes integrated into your life. The habit of opening strengthens. Stage 6, expansion. Once a threshold is crossed, new thresholds appear. The capacity to open begets more openings. Do not mistake failure at stage 3 for a sign to give up. Many people must cycle through these stages multiple times before deeper integration occurs. This is not wasted effort. Each attempt loosens the old pattern, even if only a fraction. Now, I speak of legacy. Why open at all? Because the life you do not live is a debt to the world. Each talent unexpressed is a medicine not delivered. Each love not offered is a bridge not built. Your life is not merely about comfort. It is about contribution. The measure of a human life is not merely how safe it was, but how much light it carried into a hungry world. When you open, you alter the trajectory, not only of your own destiny, but of those you touch. Think of the ancestor who refused to open and the one who did. Which lineage do you wish to pass forward? I will tell you also of mercy and justice. Some openings will demand accountability. Perhaps you must make amends, repair harm, or stand firm against injustice. This kind of opening takes particular courage because it requires you to open to consequences. Do it anyway. Repair begins with admission. Apologies must be sincere and followed by action. Justice flourishes when open hearts refuse to normalize harm. Do not confuse kindness with weakness. Sometimes opening requires hard love, calling out a behavior, setting a firm boundary, or refusing to participate in harmful cycles. As you practice opening, you will notice new freedoms. Freedom to be imperfect. Freedom to ask for what you need. Freedom to laugh with abandon. Freedom to grieve and be held. You will also find a new clarity about your calling. The clutter in your life that once felt necessary will fall away. Simplicity will not be deprivation. It will be liberation. Now, a word about endings. Opening sometimes leads to endings, not as failure, but as pruning. When a season concludes, it is not always because you did something wrong. Endings can be the natural consequence of growth. If you have invested in opening, and yet a particular door closes, know that the closing makes space for another opening. Trust the rhythm of cycles. Grieve the loss. Honor the gifts it gave, and prepare for the next threshold. Lastly, I give you a blessing, not as ceremony, but as an anointing for the work. Ahead, may you have the courage to open when your hands shake. May you have the wisdom to know which doors to close and which to open. May you have the patience to allow change to refine you slowly. May you have the honesty to speak your truth with gentleness. May you have companions who will meet you in the dark and walk with you into the light. May you have the humility to receive help and the boldness to offer it. May you be tempered by trials and softened by mercy. May your life, opened and offered, be a blessing to many. Remember, opening is never about abandoning yourself. It is about aligning who you are with who you were made to be. It is about letting your inner flame meet the world and doing so responsibly, compassionately, and bravely. Do not be afraid of the work that follows an opening. Often, the work is where the greatest growth resides. Embrace the labor of learning and be tender toward your own mistakes. Celebrate small victories. When you falter, return to the ritual. Restate your intention. Retake the small step. I end with a final charge. Do not wait until the fear has dwindled entirely. That moment may never come. Courage is not absence of fear, but action in spite of it. Open even if your hands tremble. Open even if your voice cracks. Open because the universe, in its deep wisdom, bends toward those who are willing to try. Open and watch how the hidden doors begin to swing wide. If you would like, in the next days, Right now, choose one small opening and name it to someone. Say it aloud. I will do X. I will stand with you in spirit, not to take away your burden, but to lend you the strength to lift it. You are more loved, more capable, and more needed than you realize. Open and let life do what it does best when invited. Transform. Go now, open dot. I speak to you now, not only as a warrior of light, but as a guardian of souls. The world will always tempt you to shrink, to stay safe, to hide behind layers of doubt and hesitation. But those layers, no matter how comforting they feel, are chains. You were never created to live restrained, fearful, or half asleep. You were designed to rise, to act, to shine, to engage fully with the sacred mission that pulses within your heart. The nature of divine urgency have warned you. Open before your time runs out. This is not dramatization. It is truth. Every soul has a rhythm, a season, a divine timing. Opportunities do not linger forever. Each moment you hesitate, a chance passes, sometimes quietly, sometimes with the weight of finality. You may think, I have more time. There will be another chance. Perhaps there will. But the universe has its own rhythm, and the gifts it offers may come in a specific form, at a specific time. Open now, so that when the hour comes, you are not caught unprepared, not weighed down by regret, not crippled by what-ifs. Your true power lies in opening. Many humans misunderstand strength. They equate strength with resistance, with self-containment, with silence. But true power is in the willingness to open, to risk, to feel, to speak, to act. A heart that opens, even tentatively, carries a resonance that no closed fist can match. When you open, you invite grace, you activate divine flow, and you allow the energies of courage, wisdom, and love to course through you. Every open act, no matter how small, builds a lattice of spiritual power that protects and propels you. Consider, even the mightiest of warriors cannot lift a weight alone without leverage. Opening provides the leverage of connection to angels, to guides, to friends, to opportunities, and ultimately to yourself. The inner battle and how to win, it's the greatest battle you face, is often internal. I see the trembling, the self-doubt, the hesitation. I see the fear that whispers, you will fail. You are not ready. You are too small. This is the battlefront where courage is forged. Victory in this inner war is simple, but not easy. You must act despite fear. You must say yes when the instinct is to say no. You must reach out when the instinct is to retreat. Every time you do so, the chains loosen, the light grows brighter, and the voice of your soul becomes clearer. This is the spiritual formula. Action in the presence of fear equals liberation. Understanding the role of suffering, do not misunderstand suffering as punishment. It is a teacher. Pain, loss, failure, disappointment, these are the chisels that shape your soul. When you open, you allow suffering to serve its sacred purpose instead of letting it harden you. If you cling to fear and isolation, suffering becomes a wound that festers. If you open with courage, it becomes a wound that heals into wisdom. You may ask, but Archangel Michael, what if opening leads to more suffering? It may, yet the alternative is far worse. A life half-lived, a heart closed, a light dimmed before its time. Pain is inevitable. Regret is optional. Choose to open. Choose to act. Choose to live fully. The interconnectedness of all souls. You are never alone, even when the world makes you feel isolated. Every act of opening resonates outward. A kind word, a truth spoken, a hand offered. These create ripples that touch souls you may never meet. Your courage inspires others, even if they do not know it. The light you release from opening flows into the hidden corners of existence and awakens possibilities elsewhere. When you understand this, opening becomes not just an act of personal growth, but a sacred responsibility. Your life is intertwined with countless others. Every closed heart diminishes a part of the collective potential. Every open heart amplifies it. Practical spiritual practices to deepen opening meditative. Listening. Spend time each day listening to the quiet voice within. Ask, what am I resisting? What am I meant to see? Journal your insights. The answers will guide your actions. Courageous dialogue. Speak honestly, even when uncomfortable. Practice saying one hard truth per day, gently but firmly. Watch how clarity and authenticity transform relationships. Energetic protection. Before opening, call upon your spiritual guardians, myself, the archangels, and the light to shield your energy. Courage does not require recklessness. Protection allows you to act without fear of harm to your essence. Daily acts of generosity. Opening is not only about words or decisions. Small acts of generosity, a smile, a helping hand, a listening ear, create pathways of energy that make the soul more resilient to fear. Affirmations of openness. Use statements like, I am willing to see clearly. I am willing to speak my truth. I am willing to receive love and abundance. Repeating these anchors your intention in your consciousness. The transformative effect of opening. When you open, the transformation is profound. You reclaim your voice. The courage to speak truthfully brings clarity to all interactions. You reclaim your power. Power is not control. Power is alignment with divine purpose. You reclaim your joy. Fear constricts. Openness expands. You reclaim your relationships. Honest connection replaces superficiality. You reclaim your mission. The gifts you were born with finally flow into the world. Opening is not a single act. It is a lifestyle, a spiritual practice, a constant commitment. And as you practice, your life begins to feel lighter, more radiant, more aligned with the divine intention behind your existence. The final summons I will not repeat the phrase for effect. Hear it as truth. Open, open before your time runs out. Open your heart. Open your life. Open your voice. Open your hands. Open your vision. Open to the love, the service, the courage, and the miracles waiting for you. Your hesitation is understandable, but it is no longer acceptable to linger there. The world needs your light, your voice, your hands, and your heart. Your destiny is not optional. It is calling. The doors are in front of you. Take a step, then another, and another. Even if the path is steep, even if the night seems long, even if your strength falters, open. I will walk with you. Angels and divine guides surround you. The energy of the cosmos bends toward those who act in alignment with love and truth. Your next step is waiting. Will you take it? The answer lies in your hands. Open